There is a hidden truth that many chosen ones discover sooner or later in their lives. Not everyone in their family will celebrate their growth, their uniqueness, or their light. It is one of the most painful realizations you can face, because family is supposed to be your first place of safety, the people who know you best, the ones who should cheer for you the loudest. But instead, you often find yourself wrestling with silent tension, subtle hostility, or even open hatred from those who share your blood. And this reality is not random. It is spiritual. The very things that make you chosen, that set you apart, are the very things that expose insecurities, hidden jealousy, and unspoken wounds in those closest to you. Before we go deeper, I want you to stay with this message until the end. At the conclusion of this video, there are powerful reminders and messages that will speak directly to your soul. And when you finish, I invite you to write your most sincere wishes in the comments, adding the number 777 beside them. This simple act is more than just a gesture. It is an alignment with the flow of the universe, a declaration of intention, a release of energy that will return to you multiplied. And while you're here, remember to subscribe so that this journey of truth and awakening continues to meet you right where you are. Now let us face the reality. Sometimes the people who resist you the most are the ones who should love you the most. Some of your relatives do not hate you because you did them harm, but because your presence unsettles them. You remind them of what they could have been. You carry strength where they settled for weakness. You hold dreams where they surrendered to despair. You embody resilience where they chose bitterness. And when they see you, it stirs something uncomfortable inside of them. Instead of facing their own choices, it feels easier for them to resent you. This is why, often, the hostility you feel from family does not make sense at first. You may think, I never wronged them. I never betrayed them. I've only tried to love them. And yet, their actions tell another story. They criticize you harshly. They dismiss your victories. They gossip about you behind your back, or they treat you as though you are less than. But beneath all of that is one truth. They see the light in you, and it unsettles them. Your life is a living reminder that excuses are not the only option, that surrender is not the only path, that bitterness is not the only identity. You remind them that they had a choice, and for some, it is easier to hate you than to heal themselves. Think about the times when your success was downplayed, when your voice was silenced, when your achievements were ignored. These were not accidents. They were strategies of people who did not know how to handle your difference. They cannot celebrate you because your rise feels like their fall. They cannot support you because your growth exposes their stagnation. They cannot encourage you because your courage reminds them of their fears. So instead, they turn that discomfort outward as criticism, jealousy, or hate. But chosen one, here is what you must understand. Their hatred is not your reflection. It is theirs. It is not evidence that you are wrong. It is proof that you are different. It is not a punishment. It is a sign of your calling. The fact that even your relatives cannot ignore you is proof that your light cannot be hidden. You carry something too great to be overlooked, and even those closest to you are confronted by it. And while it hurts to be rejected by blood, remember this: family is not always defined by DNA. Sometimes family is found in those who recognize your light, who walk with you in truth, who celebrate your growth rather than resent it. You may not receive that love from everyone you expected, but you will find it in those who are aligned with your destiny. And their love will be deeper, truer, and more supportive than anything you lost. So do not let the hatred of relatives confuse you. Do not let their rejection silence you. Do not let their jealousy shrink your spirit. What they feel toward you is only proof of what you carry. And though it hurts, it is also confirmation. You are chosen, and chosen ones will always stand out, even in their own families. When you start to understand the deeper reasons why some of your relatives dislike you, the picture becomes clearer. It is rarely about what you have done. It is about who you are. Your spirit, your light, and your resilience trigger something inside of them. You see, people who have chosen comfort over growth, fear over courage, bitterness over forgiveness, will always feel uneasy around someone who chose differently. And you, chosen one, represent everything they buried long ago. That is why the tension is not random. It is spiritual. You must remember, chosen ones are mirrors. You don't just walk into a room as yourself, you walk in carrying truth. And truth makes people uncomfortable. Relatives who have not healed will feel exposed around you. Relatives who chose to give up will feel confronted when they see your persistence. Relatives who compromised their dreams will feel uneasy when they witness your determination. Without saying a word, you remind them of what they could have been, and instead of facing themselves, they project that pain onto you. Think of the moments when you were treated unfairly, not because of your actions, but because of your presence. Maybe they dismissed your voice in family conversations, even when you spoke wisdom. Maybe they gossiped about you, exaggerating your flaws but ignoring your strengths. Maybe they acted distant or cold, leaving you to wonder what you did wrong. The truth is, you didn't do anything wrong. You simply carried a light they couldn't handle, and in their discomfort, they created stories to justify their feelings. What makes this even harder is the expectation we all carry, that family should love unconditionally. When those closest to you reject you, it cuts deeper than the rejection of strangers. Strangers don't know your history. Strangers don't share your blood. But when relatives turn their hearts against you, it feels like betrayal of the deepest kind. Yet, chosen one, you must see this from a higher perspective. Their rejection is not the end of you. It is a revelation of them. And sometimes, rejection is protection. Because the truth is, not everyone deserves access to your energy, even if they share your DNA. Some relatives are not meant to walk with you into your destiny. Their words would distract you. Their doubt would slow you down. Their bitterness would poison your growth. So what feels like hatred is often the universe's way of creating distance, of removing access from people who cannot handle your calling. It hurts, yes, but it is also necessary. And notice this: not all of your relatives respond with hatred. Some admire you silently. They may not say it aloud, but they respect your courage, your resilience, your authenticity. Others watch you with curiosity, unsure of what sets you apart, but aware that something is different. The reactions vary, but the truth is the same. You are noticed. You are seen. You are talked about more than you realize, not because of your failures, but because of your light. And though some of your relatives respond with love and others with hate, both responses confirm your identity. You cannot be ignored. So instead of asking, "Why do they hate me?" begin to ask, "What does their hatred reveal?" Their hostility reveals your strength. Their criticism reveals your growth. Their rejection reveals your calling. Every negative word becomes evidence that you carry something undeniable. And every cold shoulder becomes a sign that your presence is powerful enough to shift even the closest relationships. Chosen one, take heart. Their hatred does not define you. It exposes them. Their rejection does not weaken you. It strengthens you. Their words do not diminish your value. They prove it. Because only valuable things are fought over, and only powerful spirits are resisted. If your relatives hate you, it is not because you are weak. It is because you are strong, and your strength shines a light they cannot ignore. One of the most painful truths for a chosen one to accept is that sometimes the hardest battles are fought at home. You can face rejection from strangers and keep moving. You can endure gossip from coworkers and remain focused. But when the voices come from relatives, they echo differently. It feels heavier because you once trusted those voices. You once believed they were your safe place. So when they rise against you with resentment, with jealousy, or even with hatred. It cuts into a deeper place in your soul. And yet this too is part of the chosen path. You see, being chosen means carrying a different frequency. From the very beginning, you have not been like the rest. You think differently, feel differently, dream differently. And that difference is not just noticed by the world outside. It is felt inside your own family. For relatives who never stepped into their own callings, your presence can feel like an accusation. You don't have to say a word. Simply living your truth highlights the choices they refuse to make. They look at you and see courage where they settled for fear, determination where they gave in to discouragement, authenticity where they chose pretense. And instead of being inspired, some turn bitter. Think about the times you sensed tension during family gatherings. Maybe the tone shifted when you walked into the room. Maybe the conversations grew quieter or sharper when you shared your perspective. Maybe certain relatives rolled their eyes, dismissed your thoughts, or mocked your ambitions. At first, it seemed confusing. You had done nothing to harm them. But chosen ones must realize the resentment is rarely about actions. It is about presence. Your presence shakes them because it reveals the truth of who they could have been. And often, jealousy hides behind subtle behaviors. A relative may belittle your achievements, making them sound smaller than they are. Another might avoid congratulating you, refusing to acknowledge your progress. Others may spread rumors, hoping to stain your name so others won't see your light. These behaviors come from the same root. They cannot stand the reminder that you rose despite the storms. They cannot handle the truth that you endured what should have broken you, and now your life testifies that excuses are not the only option. But chosen one, here is where you must shift your perspective. Their hostility is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to strengthen you. Every cutting word teaches you not to depend on validation. Every cold shoulder trains you to keep walking alone when necessary. Every rumor equips you to keep standing even when misunderstood. What feels like rejection is actually refining. What feels like hate is actually proof that you are walking in truth. Because if you were not carrying something powerful, they would have no reason to react at all. And there is a deeper wisdom here. Not all relatives who hate you are permanent enemies. Some are simply unhealed souls who project their pain onto you. Some are confused, caught between admiration and resentment. Some may one day look back with regret, realizing that what they resisted in you was what they needed for themselves. That is why you must not let bitterness take root in your heart. Their hate cannot define you, but your response can define you. You were not chosen to mirror their behavior. You were chosen to rise above it. So what should you do when your relatives hate you? You continue to walk in authenticity. You continue to shine your light, even if it makes them uncomfortable. You continue to pursue your calling, even if they mock it. You continue to love them, even if they cannot love you back in the way you hoped. Because the truth is, your journey is not about their acceptance. It is about your alignment. And as long as you are aligned with who you were created to be, no hatred can stop you. This is why, chosen one, you must never shrink yourself to fit into their expectations. Do not dim your light to ease their insecurities. Do not silence your voice to avoid their criticism. Do not abandon your path to gain their approval. Their hatred is not a sign for you to stop. It is a sign for you to continue. Because if your presence shakes them this much, it means you are already walking in power, and that power is not to be hidden. There is a sacred irony in the way family dynamics unfold for chosen ones. The very people who should be the foundation of your encouragement can become the loudest voices of resistance. And it hurts, not because their words carry truth, but because they come from those who share your blood. Family gatherings that should be filled with warmth often feel heavy, laced with subtle glances, sharp remarks, or silent disapproval. Yet all of this is not proof that you are wrong. It is proof that you are different. And different will always be misunderstood, especially by those who refuse to leave the comfort of sameness. Many chosen ones notice this pattern early on. As children, you may have been told you were too much or too sensitive. Your imagination may have been dismissed as unrealistic, your questions labeled as rebellious, your emotions called dramatic. What they didn't understand is that even then, you carried something rare. You saw what others ignored. You felt what others suppressed. You dreamed what others had already abandoned. And instead of embracing your uniqueness, some relatives chose to resent it. Not because you harmed them, but because your light made their shadows harder to ignore. Think about the way certain relatives respond when you succeed. Instead of celebration, there is silence. Instead of joy, there is sarcasm. Instead of support, there is distance. They may downplay your achievements or act as if your progress doesn't exist. These are not random reactions. They are symptoms of envy. Your growth reminds them of the risks they never took, the faith they never held, the discipline they never embraced. And rather than confront those choices within themselves, they redirect that energy outward as criticism of you. At times, the rejection may even feel calculated. Gossip spreads quietly within family circles. Stories are twisted, your mistakes exaggerated, your strengths ignored, and it can leave you wondering why people who should protect your name seem determined to stain it. But here is the truth. Their words are not really about you. They are about the discomfort your existence creates within them. Chosen ones disrupt illusions simply by living authentically, and disruption always provokes resistance. Yet, there is another side to this story. Not all relatives who show hostility do so because they despise you. Some are secretly inspired but do not know how to express it. They see in you a strength they wish they had. They witness your endurance and feel both admiration and discomfort at the same time. Their reactions are conflicted, drawn to you, yet resentful of what you represent. This is why their behavior can feel so inconsistent, supportive one moment and critical the next. Their inner battle spills outward in the way they treat you. And what should your response be? Not to retaliate, not to harden your heart, not to let bitterness define you. Instead, your task is to understand that their hatred or envy is a reflection of their own pain, not your worth. You cannot carry their healing for them. You cannot live small enough to ease their discomfort. You cannot abandon your truth to gain their approval. The only thing you can do is continue to walk boldly in your calling, refusing to let their hostility silence your purpose. This is one of the clearest signs of being chosen. Even those closest to you cannot ignore you. They may hate, they may gossip, they may resist, but what they cannot do is erase you. Your presence lingers, your voice echoes, your life testifies in ways that no rumor can silence. And while it may hurt to lose the approval of relatives, it is far better to live in alignment with your calling than to live in chains of their expectations. So, chosen one, wear their hatred as confirmation, not condemnation. Let their disapproval remind you that you are walking a path they cannot understand. Let their gossip remind you that your life is significant enough to be noticed. Let their envy remind you that you are carrying what they once desired but abandoned. Their reactions are not evidence of your failure. They are evidence of your power. One of the greatest burdens for chosen ones is trying to reconcile love with rejection. You love your family, yet some of them seem to despise you without cause. You want unity, yet you often feel like the outcast. You extend kindness, but it is met with coldness or silence. This contradiction can weigh heavily on your heart, because it feels unnatural. How can the people who share your blood, who grew up beside you, be the ones who reject you most fiercely? The answer is spiritual. Light and darkness cannot walk comfortably together. Your very existence disrupts the patterns they have settled into, and rather than change, they choose resistance. It often begins subtly. Relatives may avoid eye contact when you speak, dismiss your words with sarcasm, or change the subject when your achievements are mentioned. Over time, the hostility grows clearer. They exclude you from certain conversations, whisper behind your back, or find ways to belittle you in front of others. And though none of this is spoken outright, you feel it in your spirit. Chosen ones are sensitive to energy, and you can sense the weight of their hidden hostility even when their words sound polite. This silent warfare can be just as painful as open conflict. But what you must realize is this: their hate is not truly about you. It is about what you represent. You embody resilience where they surrendered, hope where they gave up, light where they embraced darkness. Your life is proof that excuses are not the only option, and that reminder is unbearable to those who would rather remain unchanged. So instead of confronting their own choices, they project blame onto you. They convince themselves that you think you are better than them, when in reality, all you have done is stay true to your calling. There are also those within families who compete in silence. They cannot bear to see you rise because they measure themselves against you. Every step you take forward feels like a step backward for them. Every victory you achieve reminds them of their own stagnation. And because they see life as a competition instead of a journey, your growth becomes their wound. They don't understand that your purpose is not to outshine them, but to walk your own path. Still, their perspective blinds them, and so they choose envy instead of encouragement. This is why you must protect your spirit when dealing with relatives who hate you. Do not let their bitterness seep into your heart. Do not allow their coldness to harden your kindness. Do not shrink yourself to make them comfortable. Understand that their reactions say more about their own inner battles than about your worth. You are not responsible for their healing, nor are you called to dim your light so they can remain at ease in their shadows. Chosen one, the very fact that you experience hatred from relatives is confirmation of your uniqueness. If you were ordinary, you would not be a threat. If you were insignificant, they would not waste energy speaking against you. Their hostility is evidence that your presence carries weight, that your spirit cannot be ignored, that your destiny is bigger than the environment you were born into. And though it may be painful, it is also a sign. You were never meant to blend in, even within your own family. So what should you do? You continue to love, but with wisdom. You continue to show kindness, but with boundaries. You continue to walk your path, even if it means walking alone. You do not need their approval to fulfill your calling. You do not need their acceptance to validate your worth. You do not need their support to walk in your destiny. The truth is, some relatives will never understand you, and that is okay. You were not chosen to be understood. You were chosen to be authentic. So when you feel the sting of their hate, remember this: it is not a reflection of your failure, but of your power. Their reactions are confirmations. Their rejection is redirection. Their envy is evidence, and all of it points to one truth: you are chosen, and nothing can change that. When you take a step back and begin to see the bigger picture, you realize that the hate you face from certain relatives is not simply personal. It is spiritual. It is bigger than family drama, bigger than misunderstandings, bigger than personality differences. It is the clash between light and darkness, truth and illusion, courage and fear. Your presence becomes a battlefield, not because you invited it, but because you represent something that unsettles the atmosphere. Chosen ones always carry this burden. They are reminders of what others want to forget, and reminders are rarely welcomed. Consider this. Many of your relatives know your history. They know the challenges you faced, the obstacles you endured, the struggles that should have broken you. And yet, here you are, still standing, still rising, still carrying light. To some, that is inspiring. To others, it is infuriating. Because in their minds, if they couldn't endure what you endured, you shouldn't have either. If they surrendered under pressure, you should have collapsed too. But your survival confronts them with a truth they don't want to face. They had a choice, and they chose differently. That truth becomes unbearable, and so they direct their frustration toward you. This is why chosen ones often experience a strange tension between admiration and resentment from relatives. Some may secretly look up to you while outwardly dismissing you. They may criticize your choices in public, but imitate them in private. They may distance themselves from you, but still keep track of your life through whispers and gossip. This duality comes from their inner conflict. They see something undeniable in you, but they don't know how to process it. And rather than face themselves honestly, they project their struggle onto you. It is also important to understand that family systems often run on patterns. Generational cycles of bitterness, fear, jealousy, and dysfunction can run so deep that anyone who tries to break free becomes a threat. And that's who you are, the cycle breaker. You are the one who refuses to repeat what others accepted as normal. You are the one who questions what they blindly followed. You are the one who chooses healing where others chose silence. And because of that, you disrupt the entire system. Relatives who are comfortable in the cycle will hate you for trying to break it, even if breaking it is the only path to freedom. But chosen one, you must never confuse their hate with power. Their rejection may hurt, but it cannot stop you. Their gossip may sting, but it cannot define you. Their envy may surround you, but it cannot control you. The very fact that they resist you so strongly is evidence that you are walking in the right direction. If you were insignificant, there would be no resistance. If you were powerless, there would be no envy. If you were ordinary, there would be no hostility. The opposition you face is confirmation of the impact you carry. So how should you live in the face of this reality? You live with strength, with clarity, and with boundaries. You love them, but you do not let their hate poison your heart. You respect them, but you do not let their words dictate your destiny. You care for them, but you do not let their bitterness chain you. Your responsibility is not to carry their weight, it is to carry your light. And as long as you carry that light, nothing they say or do can erase who you are. Chosen ones often feel the temptation to prove themselves, to show their relatives that they are not who the gossip claims, to defend their name against whispers. But this is wasted energy. Your life itself will be your answer. Your growth will silence lies. Your endurance will outshine criticism. Your peace will confuse their hostility. You don't need to argue. You only need to keep walking in authenticity. Over time, even the harshest voices will have to admit the truth. You are chosen, and nothing can change that. As the years go by, you begin to notice a pattern that confirms everything you have felt. Your relatives talk about you, react to you, and treat you differently, not because of what you've done, but because of what you represent. This realization is both painful and freeing. Painful, because it forces you to accept that some bonds will never be what you hoped. Freeing, because it reminds you that their opinions were never meant to define you. You are chosen, and that identity transcends even the limitations of family ties. When you step fully into your truth, some relatives will see you as a threat. They will whisper among themselves, wondering why you live differently, why you think differently, why you refuse to conform. Some will claim that you've changed, as though change is a flaw, when in reality, it is growth. Others will accuse you of being prideful, when in truth, you are simply confident in the path you've been given. Their accusations are projections. What they call arrogance is really authenticity. What they call rebellion is really independence. What they call distance is really wisdom. And yet, despite all this, you may still long for their approval. It is natural to want acceptance from those who share your blood. But chosen one, you must come to terms with this. Not everyone is meant to walk with you into your destiny. Some people are part of your beginning, but not your becoming. Some relatives are part of your history, but not your future. Their presence in your life had a purpose, but their resistance also has a purpose. It teaches you how to walk without applause, how to endure without validation, how to rise without support. And this is what makes you unshakable. Think about how your relatives respond when you speak your truth. Some may dismiss it, acting as though your wisdom is foolishness. Others may twist it, trying to use your words against you. Still others may ignore it, pretending they never heard you. But notice this. Even in their resistance, they are listening. Even in their dismissal, they cannot erase what you said. Even in their silence, they cannot undo the impact of your presence.